Hey everyone, it's Rob Dog. Welcome to my house of music. And I don't even need to say much. I have talked about this in so many of my previous reactions this year. I've been building up to this so much, and it's finally here. And I still don't know if I'm fully ready for this, but we're going to go into it. We're going to go through it still. So, oh my god. What can I say about Quadeca that I haven't already said or that hasn't already been said? This guy and his evolution, especially in I Didn't Mean to Haunt You, is probably the biggest reason why I'm here today. It's probably the biggest catalyst that led to me being here. Okay, because I'd been, as I've stated a couple times, but I'd been following Quadeca. I'd been along for the journey, going back to the styles of rap videos before the KSI disc even came out, before voice memos. I've been following Quadeca for a long, long time. Maybe going back to high school, definitely going back to college. So here we are. This is the first time I'm actually reacting to something on this channel. Obviously, we've been anticipating this for a long time. This album's been a long time coming. It has been a long album cycle coming. Long promotion process coming. But now here we are. So, and by the way, for full disclosure, Godstained, I stayed away from it. Monday, I stayed away from it. I intentionally stayed away from the singles. I want every first listen of mine to come in the full album experience. And it's finally here. It's finally here. So without further ado, let's get into this. this thing said, no, you are going to listen to this flowing into every track. You are not going to do anything talking. And I'm like, I wouldn't complain, but I'm here for a reason. I'm here for a reason. So just going over that previous track, I mean, it was mostly instrumental, but God, it was so gorgeous. Oh my, that. I mean, it was a little it was subdued, but it was also so full, and lush with the sound. Oh my God. For most of it, there wasn't any singing, and then just at the end there was this one voice sing. What was it? I'll be there waiting for you. I think that's what it was saying, if I'm remembering right. And then Quadeca just come in, no questions asked. I mean, definitely a setup track that's just meant to be in the full context of the album, at least what I'm gathering from on first listen. For full disclosure, I am definitely this is gonna be an album I will definitely listen to it multiple times, and my opinions from this video definitely will change. I can't imagine there's any Quadeca track that would shrink on me from this era of him, but I'm sure there's some as I go that will grow on me later on. I mean, an example that I used in the comment section of my last video, whenever, a couple of Violet Pony fans were, I forget the title of the song, but there was one that they were surprised I didn't like. I told them, I'll be honest, I think it was because I was tired, and also sometimes, my opinion changes on stuff, and it takes multiple listens for me to get something sometimes. It just is what it is. And the example I used was Fantasy World. It took me a good 8 to 10 listens of I Didn't Mean to Haunt You for it to click. But I remember the first time it clicked, and that was one of the first times I'd ever cried to a song genuinely. And ever since then, it pretty much has that effect every time to this day. With that being said, no questions asked. That is going to be Penthouse just outside the VIP. Because even with it not being much, that's still a strong start. So let's continue.
Keeping score. Who am I when the motion stops and I can't ignore? Who am I when the light is low and there's no horizon? Who am I when I watch the show? I can't visualize it. Who am I when I'm high? I surrender to my heart. Who am I when I'm high? That's the way I make it. Like the seas and I see me there. He's been waiting long. When my heart becomes whole again, thinking I'll be good. That's been keeping score. That's the way I make it pop. Who am I? 'Cause I'm hot, I surrender to you.
Okay. And as kind of expected, that one took a more intense uptick. So, waging war, what did I think of it overall? I mean, God, I just know, but from having listened to I Didn't Mean to Haunt You in the Scrapyard, you already knew coming in the production was going to be gorgeous, and yet you're still not prepared for just how gorgeous it's going to be. I mean, whether it's the little keys that were kind of playing in the background throughout, or the shifting vocals, and I mean, I'm probably gonna be off base because it also usually takes me multiple listens to like really get and sink in what an album's going for. On the first listen, that this almost sounds like the war that's waging is like in between the ears, and trying to just trying to keep sane, and thinking about just ending it, going overboard intentionally. I could be wrong there, but that's kind of what I could gather from that. Overall, again, such a good track. Once again, it just sneaks its way into the VIP. Alright, here we go. Next track.
Still I am blind, or so they tell me all of the time. The world here to help me, eyes and eyes can see. The potato skin looks after with his back turned. God hung up his sign. So I might have to ruin mine to make it mine. Lace up your boots right where you left off. Don't get too cute, they're watching you set off out past the rocks that chose to be better guided by it's both for
First of all, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna try to parse the meaning out of this one, because it feels like it's there. I just gotta like, this is one I'll pick up on in like future listens, but for now, I'm just gonna let it be what it is. And for what it is, otherwise, it's just still so gorgeous. I mean, there seems to be this kind of thread of like, what, like, maybe I do want to carry on, but to achieve what I want to achieve, I'll have to ruin my life, and kind of the desperation within that inner turmoil as that goes on. Again, I'm sure that's not exactly what it is. That's just what I picked up on. But overall, just another fantastically subdued yet lush track. I mean, it's once again in the VIP pretty strongly. Okay, here we go. The big one. As I said, this is my first time listening to Godstain. I'm not ready, but I'm also so ready.
Fiberglass solution, there's a message on your skin, flicking from the paper. I can read you from within. I thought you knew something I never will. Godstain, show me what I'm missing from the lands you couldn't stay. I can see your history from 1,000 miles away. I thought you knew something that I should say. Godstain, we're one and the same. I thought you knew. No matter how much I feel it, the paper and plastic, I can still find a way to get back to you. 'Cause I thought you knew. Coming back home, I'll be there, a little bit slower. Don't you see that I never get over fiberglass affliction? Can I pencil in a date? I'll call you by December something, 1998. I thought you knew. But you knew everything. As you knew, I thought you knew. It's written on your face. I thought you knew. No matter how much you feel it, in paper and plastic, it's still fun. Way to get back to you. 'Cause I thought you knew. Coming back home, I'll be there, a little bit slower. Don't you see that I'll never get over you? I've been there and back, you don't even know about that. Talk about woman's trash, you don't even know about that. Stuck me in my tracks, you don't even know about that. Copy in my pack, you don't even know about that. Weekend, ride, you don't even know about that. I said some white lies, you don't even know about that. Godstain, Godstain.
Woo. this is the first three were so gorgeous, but this one takes it up another notch. How does he do it? How does he do it? Oh my god. How do you do it, Benjamin Lasky? How do you do it, man? How do you do it? Oh man. Oh man. Yeah. This is the type that, like, you could try to, describe exactly why it's so gorgeous, why it's so good, but it just won't put it well enough to just the level it gets to. Of course it's in the mansion. Oh, that was an experience. That was an experience. A damn good one, too.
Timer told me not to bother. He thought getting old would take way longer. Scraping all the rust off of his armor, melting in my hands like salt and water. Spoken like the father of a father. I thought getting old would take way longer. I thought getting old would make me stronger. At a time like this, VHS, tell us I know my way. Gold on my body, as it all was my way. God stay my body, crash my getaway. I could hear the pain from the landline. You were too young to be the bad guy. You were just a child, life just happened to you. Sleeping on the wheel when it backs into you. And time like this. To the spirits from the bottom, I wanna leave a message for the person from tomorrow. And when it's all gone, no one wants to take requests. What's the point in trying at a time like this? Extended plans till I end up on a list. Spirits on the floor, tell me like to coexist. They'll be why feeling in a piss. What's the point of dying at a time like this? Like call it what you want. But there's karma in the current when it's calm. Whatever gets me, don't get me wrong. Whatever gets me probably had me all along. Call it what you want. But there's karma in the current when it's calm. Whatever gets me, don't get me wrong. Whatever gets me probably had me all along. At times like this. I keep my soul high. I keep it all high. I keep on pushing till it hurts. I keep on going till it works out. I wishes intact, yeah. And the girl comes in on tour, and the girl comes in when the walls cave in on you, you become scared. Anytime I touch you, anytime I touch you.
Might as well. There goes the wind. Turn the engine. It's a gorgeous album.
What a gorgeous song once again. So at a time like this, once again you're feeling the turbulence picking up in the story. Even though I'm not fully grasping what's going on there, I definitely I don't know if they set sail yet, or if or if they have, it kind of feels like they can feel the the vastness of the open ocean around them, and how that's all they're going to see for days, for weeks, months maybe, and how it's enough to drive a man crazy. I could be wrong, but that's kind of the read I'm getting off of it. And it definitely feels a little more frantic than most of the other tracks have. Maybe Ruin My Life is close in that aspect, but I think at a time like this, definitely the most frantic one so far. And it just keeps everything that this album's done so right so far all together, and that's why it is still just making its way into the VIP by a step or two. Alright, here we go. Next single. We'll let those load up for a second. But like I said, like with Godstain, have not heard this one yet, and that's on purpose. Here we go. Just let me get into this.
It's that time of the year where I start getting old. There's traditions I try just to see what'll hold. Have my heart on the line, airing out with my clothes. It's so easy to try, but it's harder to fall. Darling, don't you give up on a Monday. I wanna tell you I want you. You'll probably take it the wrong way. God, I'm losing my grip on the runway. I wanna get there with you now. Next time I'll take you the long way. It's that time of the year where there's smoke in my breath. I can cover it up with a joint and a mess. If I zip up my coat, all the feathers will leave. There's a hole in the down and a trick up my sleeve. Darling, don't you give up on a Monday. I wanna tell you I want you. You might have took it the wrong way. God, I'm losing my grip on the runway. I wanna get there with you now. Next time I'll take you the long way. It's that time of the year where I put on my hat. 'Cause the light's getting strong and it's blocking my path. When the water is warm, I can't help but unpack. If I keep moving on, I'll forget the you give up on me one day? I wanna tell you I want you. You might have took it the wrong way. But I'm losing my grip on you one way. I wanna get there with you now. I would've took it the wrong way.
Alright, so another one of these kind of tracks where, okay, so spoiler alert, I'll actually do the rating first, then kind of describe the track. It's not quite gonna get in the mansion, but it is like, it's close. It's very solidly in the VIP. I mean, you know, this kind of feels like, you know, maybe there was like, you know, like not necessarily a break in the turmoil, but you know, it like maybe where on the previous track it was, you know, rough seas and, you know, all hands on deck and, you know, just doing everything to make sure they don't sink. Now it's a little bit of a smoother sailing day, and you know, they can just, you know, work some things out from then, you know, they couldn't when they were fighting for their lives. But I mean, I could be wrong. Either way, I mean, you know, it's another track that just does so much right. You know, I mean, there's so many, you know, little things that come in and out here and there. And you know, it's where it's like, again, it feels subdued, but it feels so full and lush. Like, which, that's not an easy tightrope to walk. Like, really, it's not whenever it's loud either, but, you know, when it's loud, there's, you know, that's a little bit more of, okay, how, like, there's more of a quality, you know, how well can you mix it where everything, you know, sticks out enough. Whereas with this, it's, you know, when it's subdued, it's more how do you mix it well enough so that, you know, everything comes through, but not like too much. You know, where it still kind of keeps that, you know, peaceful, you know, kind of still quiet atmosphere that it's going for. But yeah, as I said, VIP, very firmly so.
Feeling since I was the age of 2. I might as well do my dance without a crew, so I can step away from it like excuse you. Brush them off, no step without a shoe. That shooting star comes when the sun out. Better make that wish before they run out. I used to live in my regret, but there's just one feeling I forget. You always feel like I'm turning my mind. To the night sky to guide me what I do. It's dancing but I cannot move. Every time I miss you I get cut off. She wasn't the one, she was just the one off. Swear it was fine with me last week. Cried a couple times, 51 exactly. For every sign he tried to tip off, I felt God when the power box was switched up. Lower in the cell, I prefer the trailer where we drift off. And if that brings me back around, I'll rise the gift shop. The waves feel like I'm turning my blind. And was that you? I look to the night sky to copy what I do. It's dancing. Believe it or not, I feel the rhythm from my room, I'm slipping it up. Let that vessel be a vessel to see what you got. Any second, he's gonna drop. The waves feel like night. I'm turning my blind. I look to the night sky to copy what I do. It's dancing with candles.
There's a man on the horizon. Paradise is just behind him. But if he turns around, it disappears.
Okay, that was Dancing Without Moving. That one felt more like, where Monday was the calming down, Dancing Without Moving was the calm before the storm. Again, I'll have to, see how my understanding shifts, with, like, tomorrow I'm definitely going to do an off-camera, listen through with the visuals. The only reason I'm not doing it here is because OBS just will not cooperate with that. I've tried it a couple times with, other shorter videos. It will not cooperate. Even if I turn down the quality, it will not cooperate. But I mean, just hearing it, that, obviously that'll do for now. And with that being said, that kind of felt like, the sweetest of the tracks here so far. Other than probably God Stained. But that, I mean, I'm sorry that I haven't been as restrictive as usual. I barely was able to get any sleep, but somehow I'm still, carrying along. I'll probably just crash into a nap right after. But no, I'm not taking no breaks for this. I want to hear this through. Because Dancing Without Moving was another W. It's VIP right next to Monday. VIP right next to Monday. I mean, some of these I'm honestly not even entirely sure, but I'm trusting my instinct that no, you're gonna get this with, even if you don't get it now, you're gonna get this with later listens. And so far on, the technical everything so far, I haven't had any reason to rate anything under like almost everything's been in the VIP, and everything that hasn't has been close. So with that being said, let's continue, and hopefully it doesn't do that glitch again.
That's one. They switched some shit around when I was 16. My hair's been falling out since I was 16. It started turning gray when I was 17. Feel like I had more shit to say when I was 17. Now my perception got so filled that my spaces are shrinking. Like there's no room for me and me with the way that I'm thinking. There's still some shit that keeps me pure if I just let it flow. I gotta tap it while I'm sinking just to let them know. That's right. I saw so many finding new horizons and to not pursue it. I sound like a broken record when I'm talking through it. I should've roped them others in, but they didn't wanna do it. You might end up in my shot cause you were walking through it. At the yellow light, treat it like a red. Backing out my truth, agree's best unsaid. I'm dying in this booth, all I see is red. I'm fighting my excuse to get me off the ledge. Cause if I jump I might survive and that scares me the most. What I witness from afar only scares me from close. What's been keeping me afloat is barely afloat. Every stranger that I pass is wearing my clothes. So, that's why.
That's right, alright. That's right, alright. Don't get any better than this. Life, that's right, alright. That's right, alright. Don't get any better than this. Life. If I wasn't me, would I still be me? It's like if I woke up in that other body.
You want to do this, or would you watch for anything else?
That's right, alright. That's right, alright. Don't get any better than this. Life, that's right, alright. That's right, alright. Don't get any better than this. Life, that's right, alright. That's right, alright. Don't get any better than this. Life, that's right. That's right, alright. Don't get any better than this. Life. Every mirror in my life makes another blind spot. Every ex that I got asks the question why not. But my compass lies to me cause I keep putting it on the spot. Listen for the truth, bearing truth, blaring on the dots. Wasn't nothing from the offing, but it only costs a toss. That's a sore spot, that's a sore. Every mirror in my life makes another blind spot. Everything that I got is a that's why.
All right.
Don't get any better. Life.
God. Not only has this album had no misses so far, everything's just been amazing on amazing so far. Like, to the point where, that's like solidly in the VIP, solidly in there. And, on that one, you can feel, the person Quadeca's portraying, you can feel their sanity starting to slip with this, and you can feel like the storm is really oncoming, and how like the thoughts are getting dark. The thoughts are like, the dark thoughts have been there the whole time, but like they're really starting to settle in. They're really swirling around now. But it's still a battle. You can kind of feel that in the production, kind of going back and forth between that kind of eerie sound that was present through a lot of it, and then the acoustic parts of it. It's like it's a clash of seeing which one is gonna win. And I think there's just something amazing about that. Yeah, overall, this has been a really fantastic album experience so far. Like, I'm considering some things, and I'm also holding out that some of these songs on this last leg are really gonna, like, just kick it back up into gear. Like, not in the same way Godstained did, but in the way Godstained did, if that makes sense. But on the next one, that storm ain't getting, any less rowdy. That there was just, another instrumental track that I was, really taking it all in there. As y'all can see, I was really taking it all in. And, I mean, a lot like, what was the first track? I wouldn't even say it's a lot like No Questions Asked, because with no questions asked, it was, there was a little bit of vocal that came in at the end. This one was just absolutely pure interlude track. And you know what? That's fine. It was still a really well put together interlude track. It's in the penthouse, although it's probably like the lowest rated one so far, I'd say, just because it's a pure interlude. There's only so much I can do even when it's that well made, but look, still really into this album experience so far. And whatever rating I give will probably reflect my first listen rating, but I definitely have a feeling like whatever I put it at, unless I do full on 10, anything below that, I have the feeling that with further listen and listening on more sleep, it has the potential to definitely raise from there. But with that being said, let's just get back into the track list. We're on the last leg.
Somebody's after somebody I can't see. Somebody I don't wonder. Died by Thursday.
that to reflect how I feel about that one. Yeah, it just keeps on, growing and growing as it goes. I mean, that, cause on that one you could really feel like, that sense of paranoia settling in, that sense of existential dread. You feel like something's watching you and you don't know what, and you feel crazy for it, but you know it's there. And it's like there's parts of it that are almost calming, but at the same time eerily so, which is just so well reflected within the production. Because it feels in a sense comforting, but like the more you listen to it, the more and more eerie it gets, especially as the track goes on, especially on the back half. Oh, wow. And I'm not sure what I was going to give it before, but I think I just talked myself into it. Natural Causes is joining the Mansion Club. Yep. There we go. I talked myself into it. Alright, up next, Thunder. I've heard some good things about this track. I haven't heard this track, but I've seen the title get memed a little bit, but I've also heard some good things about the track. So let's go. My apologies, because I know it's going to show up in the production too. I just heard it glitch out for a second there. I know y'all are going to hear it glitch out for a second there. I'm sorry. I don't know what to do to fix that, because it's come up in a couple of videos. But we're going to carry on regardless, because it hasn't absolutely shut down any of my videos yet, this issue. It just comes and goes.
Let me tell you I'll strike down the whole tree. Yeah. Bad news, you can't make a man from a god, so don't mind me. Bad moves, a million ways to show me what I mean. Telling me what I've seen, telling me who I've been. I'll tell you one thing, just one thing, you don't know him at all. Deliverance in the wind, deliver it in your fall. And I'm sorry you went all that distance and paces, it covers the world and back. In that ground I found infinite mazes and never set foot on the crack. And I once bring that out of me. You bring that out of me. You bring that out of me. I said you bring that out of me. You bring that out of me. I said you bring that out of me. You bring that out of me. I said bring that out of me. You bring that out of me. 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 You bring that out of me. I said let me in the I like to stay up there. Let me tell you why. I like to stay up there.
stay a thunder. I love to stay a thunder. Don't look me in the eye. I love to stay a thunder. I love to stay a thunder. I love to stay a thunder. Let me tell you why. I love to stay a
I might have a new favorite. So, yes, that absolutely means it's in the mansion. And by the way, anything in the mansion is like 10 out of 10 for reference. So, but my God, that one like just kicked up the energy to 10, and like it felt like it was bringing that ignorant Quadeca energy almost, but like in a I don't know if saying in a schizophrenic way is like the right way to describe it, but like it's definitely like frantic. It's definitely like even more paranoid, and it's just, whew, it's again, it's intense, but it's such a, God, that's really good. Like, you know, as much as I was liking, you know, how, you know, subdued yet lush everything was, it did need, I do think having a track like Thunder in the midst of that does really help to tie everything together nicely toward the end. But let's see how it closes out. I'm confident, I'm even more confident it's going to close out well. And here we go with the Danny Brown feature. Let's see what he's rapping from the perspective of this time.
when it's deep underneath. Tell me when's the last time we see one of these. Moon man fishing when he leaps out the sea. Closer to the edge, getting steep in my reach. Banging on the drums, I turn the beat into a shield. It's hard to compete, I'm taking my seat, but in the middle I convince the birds that I'm asleep at the wheel. I could point them to the light if just a sweet in the deal. Out of the premises, if you like, turn on that television of mine, I should've broadcast the whole time. Every angle, another gold mine. Maybe the passageway was a matinee. Premature with the cabinet for the latter days. Around here, nobody accepting Apple Pay. You'll have to try not to back away when you're passing a snake. In the rear view, must be fade down here too. I put it back until he pierced through. In the rear view, must be fade down here too. Just play it safe until he feels you too. When the sun comes down, it's falling right. It's the end of the world if you call it right. It's the end. For everybody in the spot, I'm on the mic. If it's the end of the world, why not tonight? It's the end. It's the same old story, how it came and went. I need a couple more bottles for the main event. It's the end. And if it's time for last words, I'ma make it count. I need a million bad bitches just to play me out. It's the end. I got a front row seat, that's what I call it. I'm kicking out my feet, no need to stall it. It's the end. Crashing against the sky until it shatters. I couldn't even tell you if it matters. It's the end.
With open arms, I welcome you. And I run to the finish line. When my shit's exposed, caught in the ribbon, the grand opening of the end.
And yet another intense one of the tracks, and it seems like Danny was indeed rapping from a perspective. I guess it seems to be from the perspective of some like sea creature of legend. Again, I'm sure over the next few listens, in fact, probably after this one, I will be curious enough to go look up what this is. Or at the very least, I'll be curious enough whenever editor Rob comes across this that he'll edit an explanation for the fellow uninitiated. For now, I'll stay uninitiated until someone in the comments or until my editing process initiates me into who this is. But setting that aside for the track, I mean, it almost feels like, like maybe it's... I can't tell at this point if it's either a case of, the paranoia is turning to delusions, or if the paranoia is being validated, and at this point it's turning into this great fear that's turning into dread. But you know what? I'll figure that out on future listens. For now, that's what I love about this. For now, that's what I love about this. It doesn't feel unreasonable for it to go either way. And if you're just looking at it performance wise, I love the piano throughout. Obviously, Danny Brown brought it as he always does. And Quad, he really stepped up his game, just like on house settling. And so overall, it's not quite in the mansion, but it is so close to there in the VIP. It might cross that threshold in the future, just not this time. With that, we got one more single to go through, and it's the start of the 2 more tracks and about 15 minutes of music.
Oh, in a haze, there's a life underneath. Do you like what you see? Do you like what you've seen? Do you like what you've seen?
Remain.
last little bit, transition on into Casper. But for now, what I do know is, first of all, it does feel like Foregone does fill some of the gaps I had in trying to understand the Great Bakunawa, or at least the end of it, because it definitely seems like, yeah, at this point, the character Quadeca's portraying has gone to the other side. So I guess that paranoia at sea really did. It really was warranted the whole time. Maybe not the whole time, but it ended up being warranted. But in terms of the song itself, I mean, it was another, like, you know, gorgeous track all throughout that. Again, I wouldn't be able to pinpoint which of the, like, parts or movements ended and when the other ones began, but like, it felt like it had 4 or 5 different parts or movements or whatever you want to call it within that 8-minute runtime. You know, just subtle changes in the production, you know, especially the percussion, you know, the different, you know, once again, like a few of the other tracks have gone, you know, some of the different vocal harmonies that come in and out throughout, and, you know, just things like that, just bring it all together to make it just such a nice experience. It's once again in the VIP just outside the mansion, but again, just because, like, there's only been, like, you know, 2 or 3 10s and, you know, a bunch of, like, high 9s, don't mistake that for, you know, taking away from the full album experience, because, well, I'll let Casper play out, and then if it's as good as I think it's gonna be, I'll explain what I mean by that whenever I'm going over the album as a whole. So, but with that, here it is. One more time.
Return to a path, hiding in overgrown grass. If you didn't chase it, it would have stayed still. The horizon is a prey like animal that preys on men who prey like animals. And now it takes form and takes flight. It can take you anywhere you like. Open your hand and your palm, drown out the countdown to the alarm. The line curves into a path through clouds. The tail wrapped in waves, its mouth covered in sky. I pray one last time, but I didn't know. It can smell fear on your breath, and the sweat in the hands of a man who has never forgiven himself. And the answers I so desperately crave will cover me in the shape of a cave, removing a stone from a roof held together with nothing but tension. I can end the world with one slip from the other side of the ceiling. I accept your answer. That was just a sender, who learn how to surrender. At least I know something you won't. In a bigger picture where I extend beyond the frame, your world will end at home, and to you that will be good enough. My world ends so much worse and so much harder. To me that is better. To it we're the same, and to everyone, to everyone. The wind
what a way to close this. Wow. First of all, I see what people are saying when they say they thought at first that Maruja was Quadeca doing an accent. I see what they are saying with that. So I'm glad I went into this at least having the idea that, okay, no, this isn't Quadeca, this is the feature. And God, so at first, it was going kind of slow and, just felt like it was going to be kind of standard spoken word. And he kept going, but the instrumental kept building and building. 'Cause when it shifted going into the second part, I'm like, oh, this is good. I already know I'm going to like this. And then it shifted again and kicked it up another notch into, I don't know quite what to call it. I guess the closest thing I can think of is jazz fusion. But even that seems to be underselling it. Man. It just, and then all just building up to a crescendo of just the sea washing on the shore as you look upon the horizon. Oh my God. This one's closing out on another mansion visit. Casper's joining in there with, I'm trying to remember what were the other 10s I had. I think Thunder was one of my 10s. I think that's why, but I'm not sure. I know I had God Stained as one of mine. So I'm pretty sure 4 total songs made it into the mansion. And overall, just not only did everything hit, everything was just so well made. There were so many good touches on it. God, I'm not even gonna, I'm not even gonna venture to compare Vanisher and I Didn't Mean to Haunt You, because, why try to put 2 bad bitches against each other? Just let them be 2 bad bitches, okay? So with that being said, if you know my personal 10s list, as of right now, coming into today, for albums that I've listened to in full and can say with confidence, it was I Didn't Mean to Haunt You, it was Sinner Get Ready, and it was Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess. And you know what? Vanisher Horizon Scraper, you joined the list. In the first leg, I was kind of having some of my doubts, it's okay, this is really good, but it just needed that little extra push to get it over the top. But that first half, it was still still pretty firmly in the 9 category. And then he found a way. He took it up another notch on the back half. He leaned to probably the best closing track I've heard in any of my listens, maybe. I'd have to go back, but it's definitely up there if it's not the best. It's definitely up there. Oh my God. And I'm so looking forward to going over the album movie, probably tomorrow. But I'm so looking forward to it. But with that being said, if you're still here, as always, you're a freaking legend. And as always, don't forget to hit that like, hit that subscribe, ring that bell, leave a comment. And as always, thank you for coming to my house music. Stay a while.